So actually, I would like you to share an intro video about DCN, and we will start immediately after that. Let me share my screen. So I would like to welcome you all in another digital discussion today. My name is Mariana Tanagia. I am the Communication Director of Digital Communication Network. And today I am super excited as we will discuss with three great ladies how we can develop the next generation of female digital leaders. I would like to say that this event is co-organized by Digital Communication Network Southeast Europe Hub and World Learning. And this is a part of DCN SEE's Ideas in Action. Sorry. It's a series of virtual events launched in the context of COVID-19. DCN SEE is supported by the US Department of State's Office of Citizen Exchanges. And today I would like to start with a very small story. While I was preparing this, the promo kit, let's say, for this online event, I started with a visual and I was searching for the best photo in order to create the Facebook event and all these materials. And the first term I searched was digital. And the photos I found were either abstract, okay, or with men's representation. And unfortunately, as you probably know, this happens not only on free photo libraries. Statistics measuring the overall presence of female digital leaders and tech entrepreneurs can be discouraging. Women are dramatically underrepresented in the digital sector. And today we have three great ladies who will share with us their stories and their initiatives. And we will discuss how both men and women can encourage and inspire women to launch and develop careers in the digital space. So today with us is Stella Kasdagli. She is the co-founder of Women on Top. It is a non-profit organization in Greece for the professional development of women and for gender equality in the public sphere. We have also Nina Nikolic. She is the founder of Womenpreneurs Stories from North Macedonia. And this initiative celebrates inspiring women in business and support the first-time female founders from all the Balkan countries through the 5-day bootcamp. She will tell us more about that. And also, last but not least, we have together with us Zuzana Pison. She is a technology stream lead of Globsec Policy Institute from Slovakia. And Zuzana is leading the Technology and Society program at Globsec Policy Institute. Welcome, ladies. It is a big pleasure and very big honor for me to have you here today. Hi. Hi, all.
Hello.
Hi.
It's a pleasure for us too.
Thank you. I would like to start with your stories. I would like to tell us more about why and how you decided to make a difference in your country. Let's start with Stella, and then the other ladies, you can take also the floor. So Stella, tell us how you decided to create Women on Top.
Okay, thank you. So it was about 9 years ago, 10 years ago. I had just had my older daughter, who is now 10 years old, and I was working in the media industry. And I worked long hours, and I didn't know two things. Where I didn't know many things, but two were the most pressing for me. One was how I was going to balance my work life and my family life. And the second one was where I wanted to be in 5 years, in 10 years' time, and how I would get there. And I wanted answers in these questions. So I started looking for a mentor. I started looking for a more experienced woman from the media sector who could share with me her knowledge, her experience, the wisdom she has gained over all these years of work. And I couldn't find one. Maybe I was too shy. Maybe I was too introverted. Maybe my network wasn't, wide enough. And I started thinking about what another woman from a more remote part of Greece would do. Where would she find a mentor? If I couldn't find one, working in Athens in the media sector, how would a woman from a remote part of Greece working as a hairdresser, for example, or as a public servant, would find a mentor to help her overcome her challenges at work? So I decided that there should be a network of women, a place where any woman from any professional field, of any age or walk of life, could find a mentor that could help her face the challenges she was facing at work. And we created the network. It really grew within 2 or 3 years. It had grown a lot beyond our expectations. But then another public discussion started happening both in Greece and mostly abroad about gender equality in the workplace, about sexual harassment, about discrimination. And we realized that the problems and the challenges that we faced as women were not symptoms. They weren't, random problems that we were facing. They were the symptoms of systemic problems that millions of women face every day at work, and we should do something to counter these problems. So we realized that individual empowerment is one thing, but if we want to make a real change, we have to start changing the systems. So Women on Top grew to be a nonprofit organization working both on the field of professional empowerment of women and in social change in the workplace. So we try to support organizations and companies who want to be more inclusive as employers, and we try to raise awareness on a societal level regarding gender equality in the workplace. And that's, in very short terms, my story.
Perfect. What about you, Nina? How you decided to create Womenpreneurs stories?
Thanks. First of all, thanks, Mariana, for inviting me for this amazing panel and this amazing webinar to share the story behind the Womenpreneur Stories initiative. Basically, I've been involved in the startup ecosystem here in the country, but also in the region from 2014. And for me, what was interesting to see is that more or less in the tech and the startup world, wherever I went, was it a workshop or a meeting or an event, majority, or let's say maybe in most of the cases, I was very much the only lady in the room. If it was a meeting or that are involved in this sector. And then as I started to develop my career, I met other amazing women that weren't taking part in these initiatives, and they weren't recognized basically for the work that they are doing, whether they were startup founders or whether they were on a management level positions in other companies, or they have some leadership potential or already showcase some leadership skills. And then I realized that what basically lacks over here, and what we are trying to do with our NGO, the Association Startup Macedonia, is also influence the mindset of people. So the mindset change in this region in terms of who can be or who should be entrepreneurial or who should start their own business, and why you can, there's so many excuses of why you cannot make it out of from here, or you cannot create your business, especially if you're a woman. It's going to be a big struggle. The mentality over here is that women have their journey. Let's say they might graduate, they find a job, get married, have kids, and more or less they cannot be part of this this sector, which is definitely not true. And as I was meeting more and more women that are like-minded and that are doing positive changes in our society, this is how basically the whole concept behind Womenpreneurs story started. And it was in the beginnings a platform where we celebrate these women and their stories to encourage other ladies, that majority of the people that were coming to these events were ladies, and to give them a boost if they have an idea or if they want to start something new, that there is somebody that went through their journey, or there is somebody they can reach out to get some mentorship support, as Stella mentioned, that they can find a mentor who understands what they're trying to do and goes through what they want to go through, and get the support that it's needed. The interesting fact was that on most of these events, the feedback that we got, not from the speakers, but from the participants, was that, oh, I have an idea, but, and then they would stop on the initial steps of starting a business. So this is when the whole bootcamp concept of supporting these women in the initial stage with the soft, with the lean startup methodology, how to set them on the proper track. And then there is so much support out there from accelerators, incubators, but in a way, this is a creation of a pipeline for the accelerators and incubators, but also it's a boost for the first-time female founders to actually jump on board and start their own business. And what is their passion, they can basically get the support to continue and grow their business. And the biggest for me, and I do hope Stella was also in Women on Top, were part of this initiative that we did last year, since I can remember, because I've been and still am very involved the startup ecosystem. I wanted to do Western Balkans, I don't know what Balkans. I wanted to have the whole Balkan Peninsula and all 11 countries on board. We share the similar challenges, we share the similar values, we are more or less like-minded people, we are very warm people, very welcoming people. And also we have the same challenges when it comes to business. So I was thinking, okay, what can unite us if not this kind of bootcamp? And thanks to the right partners in all of the 11 countries, I managed to get at least one organization to be a partner. And thanks to the whole pandemic situation that we didn't really need a budget, we managed to organize a 5-day bootcamp for first-time female founders. 70 ladies took part of this bootcamp last May, and I do hope that in 2021 we can repeat it in a hybrid version, maybe online version, and then 2022 hopefully we can do something on a regional level, but in person.
Hopefully offline.
Yes.
Women support women, as we understand. And now I will give the floor to Zuzana to please tell us more about your story and your initiatives in your country.
Thank you very much, Mariana. Thank you very much for organizing this and for inviting me, and on behalf of Globsec. So as you introduced me, I work for Globsec, which is a think tank in Bratislava, covering all topics ranging from security, foreign policy, international politics. And one of the topics we have also been involved with is gender equality. And the way we kind of like dug into the topic is through our partnership with Open Society Foundation. Last year, we launched a See Here initiative, which was basically a series of events. We also did a report, and we also plan to do some further events. And kind of like the cherry on top was the creation of a database connecting younger female leaders with more senior people, more senior female leaders from the public sector. So that's how we have been involved with the topic of, let's say, supporting women as such. And the overall aim of the initiative was to raise awareness of the issues that the gender disparity in the wider Central European region. It's not very progressed at this point yet. And so that's the first thing. And then the second thing was to provide really policy recommendations for policymakers, but also for businesses. So, you know, just some very practical ideas and how to advance the cause of women, both in the business environment and in the public sector.
Perfect. I think that the three of you has very inspiring stories, and you already do this difference in your countries. And I'm thinking that high-tech know-how or outstanding programmatic skills, or even digital professions, or even entrepreneurship are automatically credited to men rather than to women. I don't know if you agree. Which are the challenges for women today that the women who want to work on this digital sector, let's say? Who wants to start?
Maybe I can start since I'm already unmuted. Well, I think it's the lack of awareness and also the lack of opportunities generally. I think that young girls, you know, at schools, even at the university level, they are not aware of all the opportunities they could have in the digital sector. And I think that's very much tied up with the cultural stereotypes they see at home, they see at school, they see from their professors, because they're just naturally not being encouraged to enter more manly professions, let's say. It's more, you know, there's obviously the digital gender pay gap that, you know, men tend to earn more than women. And that's not just because, you know, men earn more generally, it's just that it's also the fact that that women tend to select professions which are less paid. So that puts them automatically into disadvantage. So I think we really need to educate our young girls and young women to look beyond the horizon and look beyond, let's say, the traditional career paths, and not to be scared of entering the tech profession. I think there's also a lot of stereotypes linked to the fact, what does it mean to work in the digital sector? You know, there might be a vision that, you know, if in order to be a tech person, you need to be this nerdy guy in the, I don't know, somewhere in this like tiny dark room coding all day long. And we all know it's not true. You know, like working in tech can mean lots of different things. You can be a UX designer, you can be a project manager, you can be a product manager, you can be a CEO and oversee a lot of, you know, complex issues within the company. You can be, I don't know, in my case, you can be an expert on tech policy. So, you know, being in tech or being part of the digital economy doesn't necessarily need that you need to be quote unquote a boring programmer, because I think that might be discouraging for some girls or women who are thinking about their future career paths.
I'm seeing Stella that she seems that she agreed, right?
Yes, I do. I think there are two leaking points. One is what Zuzana mentioned, that not enough girls and young women want to get into technology, and I think there's a second leaking point, which is which happens later in their work life, and when they become mothers, and when they realize that because of the bro culture and because of the biases that are still present in tech-related environments, male-dominated environments, they cannot progress. we have heard stories by women who work in tech related companies and environments, saying that they've been traveling with their peers, their people they work with every day, mostly men. And after 10 o'clock at night, the men would accompany the woman in her hotel, and they would say, okay, now we're going to a strip club. So when you are a woman and you've been working for so many years in a male-dominated environment that's not inclusive and that is characterized by a strong bro culture, then your incentives to stay there and to, face the challenges and try to balance your work and your family life become less and less. And we have lots of women who are dropping out of these competitive and male dominated environments when they hit their 35 or 40 years old. And this is a shame because they are highly competent and specialized women.
I think that this is the key point. The family that you have to choose, maybe women have to choose between work and personal life. Do you agree, Nina? What about Balkan area?
Yeah, I definitely agree with what also Stella and Zuzana said. I might just add on top of it that the third pillar, let's say, in all of this might be the confidence level that women usually do not have once they start looking into career options or start applying for job, unlike the men. For example, there was a research done and statistics were showing that if there is a job ad, basically requirements are they're not exclusive for men or for women, but if a guy sees this job ad and he's missing two of the key points that they're looking for this position, he would still apply. Unlike the women, if they only miss one, they will hesitate and they would not send their application. So this also has to change. That I basically, whenever I work with young people and especially with people that are trying to join the startup ecosystem, I encourage them to apply. That it's in the end in the HR department to decline or call them for an interview, instead of them to decide for themselves, okay, I'm not having this requirement, I'm not having this skill, and I'm skipping this position, even though I'm super excited to join this company or to work in this position, but I will not apply because of one thing. So definitely the confidence level is different when it comes to women and men, and we should all focus on how to encourage more confidence, especially in the workforce.
Yes, exactly. You were talking a lot about this work life, let's say, and I would like to ask if you think that will be there a change in the executive positions, because you mentioned that when there is maybe the women are not so much promoted for high and the senior level jobs, let's say. Do you think that how is the situation right now? And if you think that there will be there a change in these executive positions, if women in the future will be more easily to have promoted, to be promoted?
I do hope so, but also I will go back to the confidence level, and to basically, I have a personal motto that I go by. If you don't ask, the answer will always be no. So there are a lot of ladies, women stuck in maybe the same position because they're too afraid to ask for a promotion, to ask for a raise, to go to the next level. But generally speaking, I do hope that we get a little bit of shift. And what now we live in 2021, and not just in business, but also in politics, in many other areas. When we see board meetings, when we see executive meetings, their pictures full, the room is full with men. The women can bring a lot of diversity in the decision-making process. They can see the whole situation and strategy from a different perspective. We cannot just lean on to a fully, let's say, how to say, like fully male dominated executive board to decide on the whole, whatever that decision might affect, you know. That's why I do hope that on one hand, there is the confidence level that every person should develop within themselves and be more confident once deciding that they deserve, but they worked hard to get to the next level in their career. But on the other hand, that once somebody is constructing this executive board and inviting people on panels for conferences, etc., etc., like so many different segments that have to be covered, they reconsider once they see the list of names and their skills, and maybe they can find somebody who is from a different gender or a different background, different culture that can join the team, because diversity brings success.
Exactly. Stella?
Can I share a story?
Yeah?
I happened to talk to a medium-sized firm the other day, about 100 people, mostly women. And the HR director said, we need some help with empowering our women and training them. And I said, what your needs are, what the needs of these women are. And she said, well, we are losing women because they are afraid that they won't be able to balance their work and family lives. So we want you to train them to be more confident in their ability to balance those two. And we want you to persuade them that there is a way. And if they ask for help, they can do it. And I was shocked, because if we frame the work balance problem as individual women's problem, that they are too afraid to do it, that they don't know how to do it, that they are too weak to ask for help or anything else like that, we miss we miss the target. We miss the objective of having to change the workplace, because we work in a workplace and in an entrepreneurship and in tech environments and everywhere really, in a workplace that's made by men for men who don't have family responsibilities or do not want to have family responsibilities. So how do we expect women to work as if they don't have families and be in their families as if they don't work? So our response to that was that you have to take a hard look into your practices as a company, into the ways you are empowering women to balance those two, not because they don't have the skills to do it, but because you don't have the practices to support them in doing that, and support the men as well, because they also have to do their own balancing so that women can work.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. I think that it's a very interesting example that depicts the situation that you are talking about, the system, stereotypes, and some practices that they are already established and they have to change. What about you, Zuzana? Tell us more about Slovakia and the executive positions.
Well, I couldn't agree more with what Stella and Nina said. I think that it's not about the individual responsibility of women to become more confident and to speak up. You know, it's not about that. It's about creating conditions and support system for women to allow them to, you know, be comfortable about going on maternity leave and being comfortable, you know, returning back and continuing their career. And I think we all agree that the digital female leaders are still a rarity in the midst of digital transformation. And I honestly believe it's for companies, it should be a question of their business survival to be diverse and to include women in their workforce. It's not only about being nice and doing CSR. You know, it's if a company doesn't enable smart women to hold leadership positions, this will shed a very negative light on them in the future and will not attract more female talent amongst their ranks in the future. So, you know, in the long term, I think it's a talent, it creates a talent pipeline for them. And it's not only it is of course one part of it is obviously the visibility, the PR. Every company wants to be very progressive, very gender positive these days, but all in all, it's a business question. It's to have the talent pipeline. And then the second thing, back to what Nina said about the diversity. Diversity is super important for productive, efficient teams. And women need to be part of the solution, especially in the digital sector, where women are really, really underrepresented these days.
Yes, and that's what is my next question. Why do women matter in this digital transformation? We are living in the days of a huge digital transformation, especially during COVID-19. And I want your perspective. Why do the women matter? I saw you. Yeah, Stella, please.
Have you read Invisible Women by Caroline Criado Perez?
No, but we will do.
Yes, please do. You will become
recommend it.
Very, very angry, but it's worth it, because she shares a lot of ways in which the absence of women from the fields of technology, of science, or even of pharmaceutical research does not allow us to have the data we need in order to create inclusive technologies and to create inclusive programs and services. And she has an amazing newsletter as well. And what she shared the other day was that scientists create an artificial heart, and they tested the heart, and they concluded that the heart is suitable for the human body, and that the human body can take and use this artificial heart. But they hadn't included women in the trials. So when they started actually using the heart, they realized that it was too big for women's bodies. So the absence of women from these tech spaces and these scientific spaces makes up for non-inclusive products, non-inclusive technologies, not inclusive services. And I think this is a terrible way to go forward.
Yes, I agree. Nina, what's your thoughts?
I just agree with what Stella says, basically, and something that I mentioned in the beginning of this webinar. It's basically a must. I don't know why we still need to have a discussion that times have changed. We're living in a different transformational industry nowadays, unlike in the early days of 70s, 80s, even 90s, and that what was before considered as normal and how a society should function, and the man was the person that was going to work and earning the money, and the women were the ones that were taking care of the family. This is definitely changed. We see a lot of men that are taking paternity leaves, and this should be another right that should be allowed to them internationally in all of our countries. There should be literally equality in terms of dividing the tasks at home, but also allowing women to enter the workforce and be part of creating amazing products and services, because in the end, it's a valuable asset to have women on your team, or to have somebody on a leadership position, and to have, as also with Zuzana we mentioned, diversity within your company, within your business, within your organization.
Zuzana, what about you? What do you think?
I think all the bases have been covered. I think diversity in teams makes for a better business success. I think diverse teams should really mirror the customer base. And, if this is not the case, then, crazy things can happen, as with the heart, as Stella mentioned. So it's really, really core to have women in having these having these decisive powers in companies. And I also want to mention the public sector, since I work a lot with the public sector representatives. And, with regards to the public sector, it's also about creating policies for women of all socio-economic backgrounds, and with lots of different needs. And if women are not part of making the legislations, the laws, I think it's the same as with creating digital products or with creating an artificial heart. So if you're not creating, if women are not creating legislation for women, then crazy things can happen, as we can see. We can all see some let's say more conservative tendencies with regards to abortion rights, with regards to reproduction rights, and I think that unfortunately happens when there are only men making these kind of policy decisions.
Perfect. So to sum up, until now we have agreed, let's say, that we need to educate the younger generation, to try to break all these stereotypes, and to make workplaces even better and more women-friendly, and even all these public sector policies. Let's talk about women. We know that this is a demanding and a very dynamic field. And from my perspective, I think that we need humility, adaptability, vision, engagement, so as to make a difference in our work, in our everyday life. What other skills do you think that we need as a women in order to be excellent and to do a great job on our field, on this digital sector? How can we improve ourselves, let's say? You are thinking about it.
I know that we definitely are not lacking empathy, for example. I think that especially with the whole pandemic has proven that something in our humanity that was lacking for a while now was definitely this part, the being empathetic towards others and putting yourself in other people's shoes. So this is something that I can say that we are not lacking as women. We do have it in the workforce, but also in the personal life, and it's connected to let's say the skills that we need to, I think in general, for joining the digital, let's say, transformation or building the digital skills, women should first of all find out what they're passionate about, and skills can be built up. Like skills can be trained. You can master your skill. This is what they say, But the most important part is to try out different positions, especially when they're young, to join different projects or different companies as volunteers, as interns, and to see what they're passionate about. It might be graphic design, it might be software testing, it might be whatever that might be, to just be more aware and open to opportunities. And as soon as they figure out what is their real passion, to just dive into that and master the skill and become the best expert in that field that they can become.
Perfect. Stella, do you agree?
I completely agree. And if I may add something, is that we need to stick together, and we need to start thinking about how our own decisions and our own stance and attitude impacts other women that are coming after us or are working with us. If we don't stand up when we hear a sexist comment, or when we are facing sexual harassment, or if we are discriminated against while trying for a job, then if we do that when we don't absolutely need to, then we don't help other women. So there is a saying that nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something, and this something is for all of us, so we need to stick together.
Yes, I completely agree. Zuzana, what about you? What do you think are the must skills?
I don't know, to be honest. I'm not sure if there's a set of intrinsic skills which are necessarily linked to the fact that we are women and that I'm a woman, Stella is a woman, Nina is a woman. I think if we do that, that might only, lead to another type of stereotypes, and that's not healthy. So what I think instead that I do think that we need confidence, we need determination, and we need extra hard work. Nina talked about empathy, for example, and how that played a role, let's say, in managing. But in the pandemic, to be honest, I thought about this question a lot, and I'm really not sure if like women are more empathetic. For example, to be perfectly honest, sometimes I struggled in my teams with empathy, and I don't think that's my my forte. That's kind of just like my personal perspective. So I think that women, as we're in a position of disadvantage on the job market, especially in the digital sector, it really is about supporting each other, listening to each other, and lots of hard work, I have to say.
Yes, I completely agree. What do you think? What we can do about the next generation, the young generation, the young women? How we can help them to develop all the hard or soft or entrepreneurial skills in order to become digital influencers, let's say, people that they will excel in a digital factor. How can we help them?
Maybe I can start from the recent experience with the Womenpreneurs Balkan Bootcamp. What we see nowadays in the whole world, what's happening with the educational system, and that it's definitely not up to date. I would highly encourage and try to do the best that I can in my country, in my region, in terms of providing this non-formal education or capacity building trainings or peer-to-peer learning. These are some aspects that can definitely play a big role in terms of supporting especially young women, because if we lean only to public education or to private education in terms of universities and high schools, I think that we will miss full generation, if not more, in terms of them being ready for the demand on the market, in terms of the skills or the know-how that they will gain through these institutions. And once they graduate, when they face reality and then they realize they really literally have zero skills coming out from university, it's going to be a big challenge for them then to continue in terms of finding a job or joining a company and stuff like that. So definitely the more opportunities in the non-formal education, in the trainings, in the workshops, in the peer-to-peer learning, the better for especially for young women.
Stella?
Can I add something? That mentoring and peer-to-peer learning and informal education, as Nina said, is extremely important. But we should also leave some space to younger women to teach us about how the culture is changing, how society is changing. Sometimes we want to see younger women do the things the way we did them, and experience discrimination in the way we experienced it. And sometimes we hear younger women saying, I need work-life balance, and this is something that I will set forth in my first interview. And we say, well, no, don't set it forth, don't say it in your first interview, because it doesn't work well with employers. But I think we need to open our ears in the priorities of this younger generation, and let them open the way for all of us.
Yes, and now that we are talking about it, I remember that a lot of younger women talked about this work balance as they are right, and also they are very sensitive and very engaged for racism, sexual harassment. Correct me if I am wrong, but I have this impression with
Yes.
women that I talk, the younger women.
It's true, and sometimes we try to tone them down. And I don't think this is the right way to go, because it's like we are the old guys trying to be the gatekeepers of how things used to be. And this doesn't work for anyone, really. We need to let them change the world.
Yes, exactly. Zuzana, what do you think?
Maybe just to add on everything the ladies mentioned, it's we need to provide or to show more female role models who made it in the digital sector. We need to see more examples of women making it to the top, and even hearing the hard parts, how to balance, having a family, having a career, because it's not easy, even if you have all the support system all around you. So you need to see inspiring story, but young women also need to see the true stories, because it's also very difficult to, when we talk about the leaders, the top talent, we women who lead the way, these journeys are very often super difficult. So we need to be, positive but realistic about it.
Yes, exactly. And I think that this discussion was very interesting, very realistic, and optimistic, I will say. I would like to thank you all for your participation and the speakers for this great discussion. I thank you, all of you, very much.
Thank you.
I would like to also to thank all the participants on this chat on Zoom and on Facebook and on YouTube. I would like to remind you that you can join Digital Communication Network by registering on our registration form. I will share the link on chat, and also I will share the link on Facebook Live. This event was co-organized by Digital Communication Network Southeast Europe Hub, DCNSE, and World Learning. It is part of DCNSE's Ideas in Action. It's a series of virtual events that launched in the context of the COVID-19 crisis. You can stay tuned, because during April we have a lot of virtual discussions about disinformation on DCN channels. Thank you all, and we will be in touch. Bye. Bye.
Ευχαριστώ, Mariana.
Bye.
Bye. See you, ladies.
Bye-bye.